Ooh, we live. We are live. Hello, hello to everybody out there, all you beautiful Black podcasters. Listen, we are so excited to be here with y'all tonight. I was just telling Nicole, like I'm like pumped. I feel like maybe you think I'm too excited?
As you should be. I wouldn't say too excited. You're excited as you should be.
Yes, I'm very super excited. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards. I am the host of the 2023 Black Podcasting Awards, and I am super duper extra excited tonight because this is actually my first live stream in a very long time. And so, for those of you who, been kind of rocking with me for a little minute, y'all know I enjoy the live stream, Nicole. I enjoy the live stream. I like talking to people and engaging with people and all of that. But let me tell you, girl, life had was life and okay. And so I had to take a little bit of a break. So I haven't done a live stream in probably over 6 months now. I think since right before Afros and Audio last year. Shout out to everybody that went to Afros and Audio. And shout out to Afros and Audio. But I'm super excited to be here tonight. And I'm extra excited, Nicole, because I get to talk to my
All
friend.
right. I thought about that today as I was promoting on my Facebook. I was like, my friend Latrice Sampson Richards, right? Because I hear so many people, or I have heard many people at different podcast conferences talk about how they made lifelong friends and business
Yes.
partners and things like that through podcasting. And I was like 3 years into podcasting, and I didn't have that until I met Latrice, right? So I officially
Yes.
have that now.
And now you stuck with me forever. Like I
Yay.
know your child. He be asking about me. You know what I'm saying? So that's my friend for real, for real. So I'm very much looking forward to our conversation tonight because we are talking about the 2023 Black Podcasting Awards. This year, we have made so many changes. I like to call them upgrades because I absolutely believe that we have upgraded, okay, this year. All right. And so I'm excited to share some of those upgrades with y'all to kind of give y'all some insight into what we've been working on behind the scenes. Okay. So we're going to talk about new categories tonight. We're going to talk about new potential opportunities tonight, especially for our sponsors. And then we're also going to talk about just some of the things that we're doing to try to get more engagement. And like we be listening, you know what I'm saying? Y'all be in the comments and y'all be sending the emails and all of that. And thank you to everybody that participated in our focus groups. And we are taking that information in and we are trying to make the necessary upgrades and updates to make sure that you all feel like this award show is truly representative of the community. And y'all know, in the words of Lisa Woolfolk, the host of the Stitch Please podcast, okay, which I produce the live shows for. I am a community ass bitch, okay? I am a community ass bitch. And so, if you don't know nothing else about me, you know that I love this community and I only want what's best for this community. And I really do believe that us gathering together to support the Black Podcasting Awards is in all of our best interests, you know? And so, I'm just, excited to be the one to share all of the great, amazing news with y'all. You know, that's a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? So, we're going to go ahead and jump right in and talk about some of these new categories. Now, Nicole actually is a Black Podcasting Award winner. For her show When Hers United. She won Best Business Podcast. At the time, it was Best Black Business Podcast in our first year. Yes, Nicole?
Yes, ma'am. First
See,
year.
that's
Look, it's so
Ryan. Huh?
funny.
Ryan,
So,
look,
yeah.
Ryan then
So
came
how
over
about
there.
this? Because I wanted a prop, but I don't want to get up. So I had to
Yeah.
text my son and say, "Come here, but be quiet," because I wanted him to get my,
Yes. Yes. Put your hand
2020.
behind it. Put your hand behind it
Right.
so they can see what the
Okay.
words
Okay. Wait.
say.
Let's put it up here. Right.
Best Black Business Podcast 2022 winner, When Her United. Yes, ma'am. Cue the
Yeah. And
bum 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 bum.
but like on like just really being completely transparent, like being a winner of a Black Podcasting Award, like it was, I can't even explain. Like when I talked
Yeah,
about it, I went live, I think, talking about it, and I was literally crying real tears, right? Because it gave me a validation that I had been searching for my entire life,
absolutely.
not into like smoozing, so to say, like I was told I had to do in corporate, not
Mhm.
into like who I know, but just really into producing quality work. And this was one of the first times I ever felt like, my work spoke for itself and
Yes.
I was seen. Right.
Yes.
So like it was amazing.
Yes, yes, and very, very well deserved, friend. It really was well deserved. And I think, all of our winners, they're producing quality content. Like, and that's the whole idea behind the Black Podcasting Awards is that we have the talent in our community to be able to support each other, to be able to celebrate each other. This is one of the most supportive communities I have ever been a part of, this Black podcasting community, whether like in whatever part or corner of this community you choose to participate, it is one community. And I think
Right.
that's a beautiful thing. Like, when my dad passed away in January, this community, my podcasting community really rallied around me. Like I talk to y'all more than I talk to, my friends outside of podcasting. And so it really is a family, it really is a community. So to be recognized by your people, it just kind of hit different. It hit
It do.
different.
It do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, we are, you know, thankfully, we are in a position that we are able to work with the Black Podcasting Awards, and we're able to be a part of, like making the magic happen behind the scenes, right? And so you are actually participating in the organization as the sponsorship manager. Yes.
Yay.
First
Yay.
year.
First
Yes.
year. Super
Yes.
excited.
And if
Yes.
you all have ever attended Afros and Audio podcast movement, seen any of those live streams with Libsyn, who else? Who else? What's your credits? Because
Oh
Nicole
boy,
B is
look, I ain't ready.
everywhere.
Look,
Yes.
I'm very hungry.
Yes.
I don't know what Latrice talking about. We're gonna go back to these
Nicole
categories,
is
y'all,
what we
because
call an expert.
she trying
Okay.
to do too much light shining, y'all. I ain't ready, right?
I'm just
So
saying, your light ain't got to shine when you's a star.
stop it.
Hey.
Stop. Look, I don't need my face to turn red. So listen, y'all, we have 37 categories
Yes,
this
we
season,
do.
right? And we're hoping to be able to keep all 37 categories, right? So what's super important about that is that a lot of people actually submit to be a part of that category, right? So I don't know, do we want to call out all of the categories or call out
Yeah,
maybe the new
yeah. So
categories?
one of the things that we did this year was to consolidate some of our categories that were struggling a little bit, because one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we receive is when someone has, submitted an application in a category, but that category doesn't meet the internal guidelines to make sure that the awards are valid. We want to make sure that our judging process and our whole selection process, there has to be structure to it so that it's fair, right, across the board. And so some of the categories that were struggling a little bit and ended up getting cut, we wanted to try to find a way to incorporate those things to give those creatives and podcasters an opportunity to still be recognized. So, like, for example, we have created the best family and parenting podcast. So previously those were two separate categories, and now we have combined them into one category. And so the hope is that those podcasters will have a shot at being able to make it to the final list of categories. And so we want y'all to take a look. Another one is a fashion and beauty podcast, right? Those were two separate categories originally, but those two communities are really connected in so many ways. And so it made sense to combine them and give two smaller categories an opportunity to become one big category, right? So we have all of these opportunities and these new categories that we have out there, that give some of give more creatives an opportunity to be recognized. That's really what it comes down to. It gives more people an opportunity to be seen. Another change that we have made with the categories this year is a big change. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's my favorite upgrade of of all of the upgrades because as many of you know, I'm also a podcast producer. Okay. And so I produce content for other podcasters. I've done a few shows and I actually am now an award winning podcast producer. Hey.
Yes.
We won two communicator awards. And so, you know, I as a industry professional, I mean, I consider myself an industry professional. It would be nice to be able to be recognized for my work, even though I'm not the one on the microphone, making the content come to life. And so this year we are introducing industry specific categories. Okay. This is a huge change. This is the first year that we are introducing these categories. So a if you consider yourself a professional, no matter where you are on the spectrum of professional, because you might be an entry level, you might be an indie professional, right? Like you don't necessarily work for a company, but you got a few shows that you working on and you making a little bread. You know what I'm saying? I think I fall into that category. Or if you are a seasoned professional and you just want your work to be recognized outside of the cover of the organization that you produce for or work for or edit for, whatever it might be, then these categories give you an opportunity to be seen and to be recognized. So one of the categories that we've added is best editing category because the edits matter.
They
We're gonna say
matter.
black edits matter.
Okay.
Okay. Is that too much?
Listen.
Is
No,
that too
it's
much?
not. It's
Okay.
not too much.
uh, Listen, everybody need that one friend that's always going to encourage you to do more than what you really need to do in that moment. Okay.
I am her.
Nicole is that friend for me, and I love you for it. I love you for it. We also added some additional categories like best producer. Okay. Which, I am quite partial to that category. I'm just saying, I be getting my producer thing on and just doing the best that I can out here in these streets. Okay. And we also have added best hosts. Okay, look, Shamiko. Shamiko said it is not too much. Thank you,
Okay.
Shamiko. Look, girl,
Listen.
look at the comments. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Al. Okay, good evening. Hey, Ken. Hi, Denise. Good. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Oh, you know what I forgot to say, Nicole? For everybody that's watching this on the replay, make sure you comment hashtag replay so I can say, hey, girl, hey, or whatever. I do follow up when people watch after the fact because I want you to feel like you was there with us. You know what I'm saying? I hope you get the vibe. And so if you hashtag replay in the comments, then I will come in there and make sure that I say, hey, girl, hey, for at least the next 2 or 3 days. Now, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you for next week.
You funny. Can we go to which one I think is like super awesome that I believe is a new addition? Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
Latrice.
Yes.
I think
Go.
it's super awesome that we have a podcaster of the year. I think last year we had podcast of the year. And this
Yes.
year, in addition to podcast of the year, it's actually podcaster of the year, right? And Latrice, you
Yes.
alluded to me being a sponsorship manager, right? So one thing that we're doing is that I'm doing as sponsorship manager is reaching out to different companies. We need money to make things happen, right? And one of the sponsorship packages is a category package. So a company,
Yes.
even a podcast, right, that wants to sponsor can choose to be a sponsor. And podcaster of the year is actually being sponsored by Blueberry, right?
Yes.
So, like just so super awesome, right?
Yay.
Like people are seeing the validation, in what we're doing and wanting to actually support that. But I think that podcaster of the year is a great category and I'm excited to see who's the 2023 podcaster of the year.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You and me both. Okay. That is super exciting. That's one of the things that I think if the industry specific categories is my favorite upgrade, I think this is my second favorite upgrade because it really is an extra layer of recognition. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that we out here trying to pander to the white man and all of that other stuff, but it does, well, I mean, it's just the reality, but it does create, or it has the potential to create new opportunities for black podcasters. You know what I'm saying? It's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to gain or profit or anything like that monetarily from having this award, but it does put you in a better position to be able to make the necessary connections, to be able to, kind of get in the room and just communicate with somebody, even if it's just saying, hey, thank you for sponsoring my category. I'm the winner, in case you didn't know. I appreciate that you support my content. I'd love to work with you one day if that's possible. You know what I'm saying? And see what the people say. You know what I'm saying? They sponsored your category. So I think that the potential for additional opportunities that is really built into the category sponsorship. I think that's one of the things I'm super excited about for this year as well. So shout out to Nicole Walker for making it happen. I'm always gonna big up. I'm always gonna do
Okay.
that.
I like to shine, but then I start getting, I'm a little shy. People don't believe me when I say
I'm
I'm
I'm gonna
shy.
stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I
Okay,
got you.
look, don't
I
be
got
making
you.
me, hey Demetrius.
I
Hey
got you.
Anna.
Hey Anna. Hey Demetrius. Um, so Nicole, I want to talk a little bit about some of like the shows themselves that have won Black Podcasting Awards in the past. And the reason why is because I really believe that a lot of people want to apply for the Black Podcasting Awards, but they let self-doubt, they let, that what other people saying, or, oh, you still doing that little podcasting thing. Like they, for whatever reason, allow themselves to not put in for that recognition, because I'm gonna tell you, for I didn't even know that I didn't even know that you had to apply for awards. So I always thought it was like they just like your stuff and they decide to give you an award. But when I discovered that you could be proactive about getting the recognition you feel you deserve, I think that really kind of changed the whole game for me, because I do believe I create good content. And I believe that there are a lot of Black podcasters and like just a plethora of Black podcasters who create high quality content, but because they're not being backed by a major organization, they just don't get the shine, they don't get the recognition, and they don't get the opportunities that they deserve. So I want to talk about what some of the podcasts that have won in the past, just so that people can see that it's not that you have to mimic something that already exists. You get what I'm saying? So of course, we're going to start off by talking about Win Hers United.
Wait, before we go into that, before we jump into that, I just
Yes.
want to piggyback, right?
Okay.
Because I totally agree with you, and it's actually something that popped in my head when we were talking about the categories that I wanted to talk about, right? Where it's like where do you fit in?
Yeah.
Like say your podcast is, I don't know, like I'll talk about mine's is about business, right? But I think you have the opportunity to apply to like three different categories, right? So my
Mhm.
podcast, the focus is about business, specifically women of color entrepreneurs, right? But in addition to business, I also applied to best education. I also applied to health and wellness, right? Because it's aspects of my podcast that hits on all of those different areas, right? So I
Absolutely.
just wanted to kind of give an encouragement out there to, like find where you fit, but don't be too strenuous, so to say, you
Yeah.
lack of a better term, right? Don't be too rigid with yourself, right? Because you may fit into a category that isn't the first thing that comes to your mind, but maybe the
Mhm.
category that you actually, oh, excuse me, Demetrius, 5 categories this year.
Listen, that's a
Okay.
new upgrade.
Look,
I
listen,
feel like I ain't
okay?
even know
So you,
about that upgrade.
y'all could
Listen,
submit for
y'all getting the
5.
exclusive, exclusive,
Right.
exclusive.
Right. And it increases your chances, right? And so just don't put yourself in a box, right? So just in speaking to being a black person, in America, in this world, right? People already put us in a box, right? So don't do
Mhm.
that to yourself. Sort of like how you were saying, Latrice, like, self-doubt, whatever. Like I put my name in a hat for many different awards. Black
Mhm.
Podcasting Awards is where I won. I've been nominated in other awards, right? But I truly believe that you have to celebrate yourself if you expect anyone else to celebrate you, right? You got to recognize
Absolutely.
yourself, right? You got to be in it to win it, like the lottery. So,
Listen.
put yourself in there. Don't, and be creative with ways that, oh, I might fit here, I possibly might fit there. Like, don't just limit yourself, maybe to the overarching topic of your podcast.
Mhm.
Find ways that you can fit into some of these other categories, and increase your chances of standing out, because you never know, the category that you thought you were least qualified for could be the category that you win. So I just kind of
Yes.
wanted to like shout that out, and like really encourage people, to think outside the box, and put their name in the
Yeah.
hat as many times as they actually
As
need to.
possible.
Right.
Yes.
And then another thing that you were saying that I wanted to talk about, right? Like, I think it's definitely a misconception of what a winner is, or what a winner looks like, right? Like my podcast doesn't have hundreds of thousands of downloads.
Mhm.
When I won back in
Yes.
2020, I think I was just approaching 20,000 downloads, right? So, quality content and being valuable or being of value to the world, right? I
Yes.
don't think a number is around that. It's really not a number, right? So, don't let some of what society, says makes a good podcast stop you from believing that you have a good podcast, right?
Mhm.
Because most likely you have a good podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very, very much so. Very much so. The One of the other things when you were saying that, I was like, let me write this down before I forget. I see your question, Al. I'm gonna come back. One of the things that I wanted to also highlight about the categories in terms of some of the changes. So even all of the categories got updated descriptions. Every single category has an updated description, okay? And so if you have applied in the past, or if you have, considered applying in the past but felt like your show didn't really fit or whatever, we have updated the descriptions to make it a little more clear about what fits where, and to also help you all be more creative, like Nicole is saying, and figuring out where you fit. So you may not have thought when you read it last year that you fit into a certain category. Go back and reread those descriptions because we've provided more, I would say, detail, right? We've provided a little bit more detail about what all a category can hold, you know? And so you never know, you might the goal with the updated descriptions was really to be able to help you all see yourselves in the categories so that you can read a category description and you can say, you know what, I think, yeah, that makes sense for my show, whereas you may not have thought so before. So go back and reread the categories. You can head to the website, blackpotawards.com, go to the FAQ in the top right hand corner of the page. And when you hover, it's going to give you a drop down. The very first one is categories, 2023 categories, and you can view them accordion style to get those descriptions and make sure that you really find yourself in those categories and give yourself the best chance that you can possibly have. So yeah, I agree with you, Nicole. That was good.
Okay, now we could go back if you want to.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to answer. Al has a question. He says, I can't listen at the moment, But can someone explain how the editing category will be judged? What does that entail? Absolutely. So, what I'm going to do, I'm actually heading over to blackpotawards.com and I'm going to pull up the description on the categories page and I'm going to read the description to you word for word. So, best editing. This award recognizes exemplary achievement in the condensation of episode content, development of a cohesive theme throughout, and delivery of top notch audio quality. Must include at least 3 reels of up to 5 minutes each. Black Podcasters Association members will vote on nominees as per 2023 judges and determine the winner. So that's another additional change that we've made this year. I haven't gotten to that yet, but I am going to get to that, okay, in just a second. But essentially, Al, and I know you say you can't listen right now, but you're gonna be back, so you're gonna hashtag replay when you get back. But essentially, the best editing category is for editors, right? It is for editors, but it's also for producers who edit. Okay. I think it's important that they be recognized as well because you have some producers that do double duty. Not all producers edit, but some producers do. Like I don't edit full blown, but I like to I do my rough edits. I like to edit my content down. And so that's something that would be appropriate for this category as long as you can meet the submission requirements, which are at least 3 reels of up to 5 minutes each. And you want to make sure that you are highlighting the different shows that you're editing. So don't make all 3 reels the same show. You want to try to give some variety and really show what you have to offer. And that's the beauty of these industry related or industry specific categories, is that they're not tied to a show, right? So you can, if you produce multiple shows or if you edit multiple shows, or even if you host multiple shows, you can put together a package that shows the breadth of your work so that you can truly be judged for your skill, for your talent, or not judged. Well, but it is judged, that's what it is. But so that you can, you know, I mean, I was like, I feel judgy, but I mean, that's the technical term for it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean judged in a positive way. That's what that's what I mean, right? So that you can really focus on and highlight. I'll say so that you can be highlighted for your skill sets, right? And not necessarily for the popularity of a particular show, because there's a lot of really, really good producers out there, really, really good editors out there, but they're not getting recognition because their shows are smaller, their audiences are smaller. But that doesn't mean that their skill sets don't deserve to be recognized. So go, like I said, to Black Podcast, excuse me, blackpotawards.com. Head to the FAQ in the top right hand corner, and you can read all of the episode descriptions. Uh, Anna says 3 reels. Is that for every category? No,
No.
that's not for every category.
She was like,
it's
hold
it's
your mule now. Hold your mule.
it's not. It's not. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and this is a category for an editor, Crystal. This is a category for an editor, which, I mean, if you think about it, is, the same as a category for editing, because it's the work that matters. It's the work that matters. Uh, Ken says, I couldn't apply last year due to personal reasons, but I will definitely this year. Yes, Ken. That's what I like to hear. It's Ken, aka Mr. Gentleman. Come on through, Ken. Mr.
Listen.
Gentleman. I'm
Okay.
from the South, girl. I enjoy as a gentleman. Okay. And that's what Ken is with the Lifestyle Podcast Network. So shout out to Ken. Shout out to the Lifestyle Podcast Network. Y'all check them out.
I want to say
Bernard, which is that?
we have a best podcast network category. this
We
year.
do. Come
Okay.
on,
Listen, you know what
listen.
I'm talking about? All right now.
Listen, you know what I'm saying? You got to get you a real hitter. You got to get you someone that got your back at all times, okay? At all times. I love you, girl.
I love you
Bernard
too.
Tanner says, everyone that I've enlisted to help me get my podcast up has let me down. Oh, sorry to hear that, Bernard.
Mm.
Would it be a bad idea or a good one to ask for financial and technical support on some of the platforms I use frequently, like Facebook? Well, Bernard, I think that is, and I think I'm gonna let Nicole answer this for real, for real. But what I'll say from my perspective is that if you're not sure if it's a good idea or a bad idea, it's probably not a great idea. You know what I'm saying? And not necessarily from a standpoint of whether or not you can achieve the goal, just because you have not sorted it out in your mind yet. And if you are going to put yourself out there in that way and ask of your audience in that way, I think you need to have it thought through before you jump out there, because what happens if they do give you the money? Are you prepared to use that money in a way that will benefit your podcast? So I think, if you're still uneasy or unsure about that decision, then, maybe you want to press pause and think it through a little bit more. The only other thing that I'll say is that as it relates to the awards, there are actually ways for you to get your awards fees, like your application fees, reimbursed. So Podcasting Seriously has a fund where you can apply to be reimbursed for applying for award shows. Like that, they have money that sits in a pot specifically to help indie podcasters apply to award shows. And that is a huge, huge, huge thing. And I think, do you know what their limit is? I think their limit is like what, $150 or $200 or something like that. And when you think about how, like, it's $20 right now per category to apply for the Black Podcasting Awards. So you can apply to all three categories. That's $60 and you can get that reimbursed. What you say? Five.
5.
Five. Oh, yes. So that, even still, that's $125. So you can still, is that, no, don't do me.
120. Look, I'm
Don't
like,
do
that
me.
math ain't mathing, Latrice. Look, stick Latrice. Okay, we're gonna keep you on the the therapy,
It's
mental
actually
health
100. You
and
was wrong
wellness.
too. Don't do
I
me.
meant to say,
It's
did I
a
say what I
hundred.
said?
20,
Okay.
40, 60.
That's what I meant though. I had 100 in my head. All right, let's get off this math because neither one of us is
Demetrius
just not
says the
mathing
limit
today.
for application fees at Podcasting Seriously is $200 in a rolling year, and the fund goes up to $500, including classes and education, because they will also pay, like they will also reimburse you for professional development
Look
specific to
at here.
podcasting. So if you take a course, like an editing course, or if you want to improve your skills or something like that, you can get reimbursed for those fees. So yes, you have to pay them up front, but you can essentially get that for free, right? And so it's an opportunity for indie podcasters to, kind of get a little bit of a leg up. And it's not a handout, it is a help. It's a hand up. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
An
hand out,
attempt.
hand up. Look, it's a hand,
Yes,
and I'll
all
take
of
a
that.
hand.
All
Okay.
I will take a
Listen,
hand.
speaking of a
Can I
hand,
get a
look,
hand? Can you lend me
speaking
a
of a hand,
hand?
let me slide on in about this hand, right?
Come on
So
through.
for me personally, I'm the kind of person, right? I likes to save my coins, right? Save as many coins as I can because I love to go out to eat. I like to travel. I like to
Yes.
shop. I like to do
Yes.
all of the things, right? So a way that you can save your coins as a podcaster in applying for the Black Podcasting Awards is to apply before May 31st, right? Right
Yes.
now, the applications are, would you say, $20 per category, but they go
Yes.
up in June to $40. They go up in July to 60, right? So to me, that it's a no-brainer, right? Like,
Listen.
you got a you got what is that? Six days. You got 6 days, to get you a reel together, fill out the information, and submit that thing, right? And Demetrius, correct me if I'm wrong. Do they actually have to submit all of their information by the end of May, or do they have to just pay and then they have a longer time to then submit their information?
That's typically how it goes. You have an opportunity once you submit and pay for your categories, you can essentially save your submission and then come back and complete that submission. So even if you don't have your reel ready, right? Oh, he said submit by July. Yeah.
Oh,
So
listen, okay,
yes,
look,
yes. So yeah, so even if you don't have all of your pieces together now, but you know that you want to apply, it makes sense for you to go ahead and lock in the lower price now. You know what I'm saying? And then you can go and get what you need to get done. You have until July 31st to complete your submission because remember, it don't count if you don't complete it. Okay, so you have to meet all of the requirements of application in order for your submission to be considered. Okay, it's like I said, we got to have rules, y'all. We got to have rules because we want to make sure that we maintain the validity of our process. Okay, but you can start your application now, pay for your application, you get a little login and all of that good stuff. You save your application, and then you go ahead and get your stuff together. Get your stuff
listen,
together. And we
look,
even going to be helping y'all with that because we are currently working with the Black Podcasters Association. Shout out to Corey, okay, to try to get some learning opportunities out there for y'all where we really want to y'all keep asking us about how to put together these reels. I told y'all, we heard y'all, we listening, okay? So we're actually going to teach you how to put together a reel or like really kind of talk about what the primary components are, like what makes a good reel. How do you give yourself the best opportunity to stand out in your category? So we're going to be providing that education. Y'all just keep a lookout, keep an eye out. If you're not following us, make sure you do, okay? But yeah, I agree with you 100%, Nicole. It makes sense to do it now if if you know that you're gonna apply. Even if you're not quite sure whether or not you're gonna apply, go ahead and lock it in now. 'Cause at the end of the day, it's just $20. You know what I'm saying?
listen, look, the way I eat,
Yeah.
my plates be more than $20, right? So it's less than a decent meal.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit more too, because for those of you who may not know, which if unless you're living under a rock, I don't know how you could not know who Demetrius Bagley is, but Demetrius is the executive director of the Black Podcasting Awards. Is it executive director or CEO, Demetrius? I think it's executive director. I be
Program
forgetting.
program director? Program
Yeah, I think something like that, right? But Demetrius is the man in charge. Okay, that's really what you need to know. Okay, that's really what you need to know. And Demetrius, he's very very clear about the fact that it's important for the Black Podcasting Awards to be accessible to Black podcasters at any stage. Yes, the HNIC. Yes, he is. Yes, he is the HNIC. I had enjoyed that, Demetrius. I enjoyed that. But and Demetrius and I have had just countless conversations about, how important it is that the Black Podcasting Awards remains accessible to the community. No matter where you are, no matter what stage you're at, we know, we have our avatar, you know what I'm saying? But we want this to be accessible to any and every Black podcaster that feels like they want to tip them toes out into them waters. You know what I'm saying? And so the cost of the fees to apply, the application fees, they are extremely, extremely fair. Extremely fair. Some of these award shows, they're charging $125. I saw one the other day was $249 per
I think I saw one that
category.
was almost $400 a category, so it's some expensive
Yes.
ones out there, right?
Yes. and for a lot of people in our community, it puts it out of reach. It just puts it out of reach because the reality is that a lot of us are coming out of pocket to do these projects, right? Like we love it that much that we are investing in our craft in that way, and we're coming out of pocket to make it happen, but we deserve to be recognized as well. And so
Mhm.
the pricing is structured such that we are doing our best to remove that barrier for anyone for whom that may be a barrier. And that might not apply to everybody, right? But for those to whom that barrier exists, we want to try to do our part to help ease that or remove that altogether if possible. And so it doesn't speak to the value of the award.
Preach. Preach. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Listen, it doesn't speak to the value of the award. Be clear. To win a Black Podcasting Award is a high honor. It's a high honor. Okay. But because we do this for our people, we are making sure that it is accessible to all our people. And I think that's a beautiful thing because it just comes back to the fact that the Black Podcasting Awards is a part of this community. It's a part of the foundation of this community. Just like Afros and Audio, just like the Black Podcasters Association, just like Podcasters of New Jersey. Shout out to Denise and Ann, okay? Just like Black Pod Collective, like all of these communities, women of color podcasters, all of these communities, we all serve different bases, we all do our thing in different ways. We all serve a different purpose, right? But we work in communion with each other. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I really do. I really do.
Okay. Look, she trying to drop a little tear.
Aw, I
Oh, it
know.
is so sweet.
Podcasting brought us together, girl.
Right.
Indeed. All right. So before we wrap up for tonight, I want to talk a little bit about another big change that we're making for the 2023 Black Podcasting Awards, and that is public voting categories and Black Podcasters Association categories, which is essentially peer voting categories. Okay. We are very, very, very excited about this. Okay. Because this is the first year that we have an opportunity to bring the listeners, the audience, the community into the process. It's this is the fourth year of the Black Podcasting Awards. And so, like the first 3 years was kind of just getting the thing up, like just kind of getting it up. And so this fourth year and probably next year also is about really getting it upright and standing it in the direction that it needs to be going in. And so it's very exciting to be bringing more people into the process and bringing more people into the journey and actually making the community feel a sense of ownership of the awards because some of these categories y'all gonna be voting on. So you get to say who you think is the best, editor if you are a member of the Black Podcasters Association. That you get to say, yeah, like I like your stuff is dope. I'm gonna vote for you. And if you are a listener or just a podcast enthusiast, you get an opportunity to let us know who you think should be the best who you think should be podcaster of the year. Okay.
I like that, right? It makes me think of, so one time I applied for this grant, right? And in part of getting the grant, I had to get all of my people to send me love letters, right? Like they had to submit these love letters to this application, right? So who's to say how I would have landed, on the grant, but I do know that a large part I actually won. I was one of the winners. It was many winners.
Of
That a
course.
large part was all of my people, right? That I said, hey, put me in a love letter, right?
Yes.
And it was purely anonymous, right? I sent it out. I didn't know who sent the letter, but like kind of rallying all your people, rallying your supporters, rallying your loyal listeners and getting those people to, show their support for you, right? So I
Absolutely.
feel like in a way you kind of have a stake in determining whether you win this thing, right? Or not,
Yes.
right? Depending on how much
Yes.
work you put in.
Yeah, and I think I love the point that you made because my first ever live show that I did back in 2018 with a Pod Connection ATL, shout out to Nikki, and Jaden Hollywood, even though he don't do podcasting no more, but that live show was my first time ever performing like in person or anything like that as a podcaster, and I actually won a community vote contest, right? For an opportunity to be able to do a live show at this podcasting festival. And so having that experience of like actually rallying my family and friends, because my podcast was small. It wasn't like no big podcast like you were saying earlier, getting thousands of downloads every day and all of this. Like my podcast was very small. It was very, very new at the time, and so I had to rally the support of my loved ones, the people that I went to high school with, people that I grew up with in the church, people that I went to college with, that saw me doing something with myself and saw me really putting myself out there in this creative endeavor and believing that I was doing a good job, believing that I was doing a good job, so much so that they went to Twitter and they hit like, and they went to Facebook and they hit like, and then they went to Instagram too and they hit like so that I could get those votes. And they were invested in my journey. I would post about, my journey. I'm like, listen, y'all, I'm in second place. These people trying to beat me, y'all. I just need to get like 10 more likes. We close at this time, y'all. Let's do it if y'all could do it. And they was right there with me and they cheered with me when I had that opportunity afforded to me. So it's a great opportunity to connect with your listener community, absolutely, but it's a good opportunity just to connect with your personal community, the people that exist in your world, the people that exist in your bubble, you know what I'm saying, out like in IRL, in real life, and give them an opportunity to support you and give them an opportunity to also recognize your greatness, because even if you don't win, you still leave with the knowledge that however many people voted for you, them people support you, them people love you, and them people want to see you grow in your craft, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
I love that. That was good.
Yeah, I be therapizing, girl.
I know. You do. Wait, let's can we take a moment to shout out our current sponsors so far, right?
Yes.
Super excited. So far we have 5 sponsors, right? So shout out to Transistor, Blueberry, LWC Studios, Sounds Profitable, and Podglomerate, right? Super
Yeah.
excited to have them as sponsors, and I just want to highlight, right, like that, and I think I mentioned it before, but I want to mention it again, right? Like sponsorship can go to a podcast, of a podcast company, a podcast network, or whatever other company, right? So a great way to expose your brand to Black podcasters, right? So if you're interested, hit me up, info@winhersunited.com.
Do that. Make it happen. Okay. Yes, ma'am. So we are kind of going to start wrapping up, winding down a little bit. And, hopefully you all will just light up the website. I would love it if y'all would just shut the website down, because y'all just all go over to the website all at one time. And then, Demetrius, he going to figure it out. He going to get it back up. But that would be amazing, for you all to head over there and make it happen. I just want to stress once again how important it is for the community to support the Black Podcasting Awards. We appreciate all of the support that has been given thus far. But if you really, about that life, then this is a great way for you to be able to show your support, for you to be able to make sure that the organization as a whole is able to continue to keep doing the work. So even if you are not a podcaster, or you say, you know what, Treese, I got way too much going on right now, girl. I just don't have time to get a reel together, which, you could go on Upwork for like $25 and get that done. But I'm just saying, you might not have it to give right now, and that's all right. You can support in other ways. You can share our posts. You can, DM some of your favorite podcasters and say, hey, have you ever heard of the Black Podcasting Awards? I have done that several times, but I only do it for people that I genuinely believe could win. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I like your content, don't do that.
Tell all the people, y'all. Tell all the people, right? And let them decide if they want to apply for a Black Podcasting Award, right?
But listen,
'Cause
it's
we
it's
aren't the judge.
subjective. It's subjective, okay? Because I might listen to something that you might be like, "Girl, what is that?" Because not everything is for everybody.
Let the
That's the
people
beauty of
determine
podcasting,
if they want to
So if
do
you
the
listening
thing.
to this and you think that somebody's content is amazing and you freaking love it, whatever that means for you, okay? Then go ahead and jump in their DMs and send them to the Black Podcast and blackpodawards.com, or share that the applications are out and open to the public, to the community to start applying. Let them know that this is a thing, that this thing exists, and that they should take a look over here and see what we got going on as well, and join the community, because in our mind, they're already a part of the community. They just don't know about us. We know they out there. They just don't know about us yet. Hey, Tyronza. Shout out to the THC Media Network. Yes. Okay. So make sure that you share the information. And if you do have a few dollars to give, you can also donate on the website. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but the Black Podcasting Awards has obtained a 501c3, which means that any of your donations, now not your application fees now, be clear. Okay. Because that's an exchange of monies. All right. But
Woo.
but if you make a donation to the Black Podcasting Awards, that donation is deductible. I mean, depending on how much you give, it is deductible. Okay. And so, support in whatever way that you can. Um, Nicole, you have any I have one more thing I'm gonna share with y'all, but I ain't gonna give y'all all the TT. We're gonna have to wait until, next time y'all see me. Maybe we'll share that information. But we do have one more, like, really, really huge upgrade that we just not ready to talk about yet. But I'm just letting y'all know it's a vibe. Okay. It is a
Okay.
vibe. It's a
Okay.
vibe.
All right.
So we're gonna press pause on that. Next time I see y'all, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I might could share. I gotta see what Demetrius say. I gotta see if Demetrius says it's okay to tell y'all what the thing is. But until then, Nicole, let everybody know where they can find you, how they can work with you if that's something that they want to do, and what they need to do if they trying to sponsor the Black Podcasting Awards.
Okay. So again, Nicole Walker, award-winning podcaster, right?
Hey.
um Podcast and sponsorship strategist, right? Creator of When Hers United. So if you're interested in listening to business mindset, personal development, and self-care conversations with winning women of color entrepreneurs, then go to winhersunited.com. whenherunited.com/podcast. I've interviewed over 120 women of color entrepreneurs to date. Get all of that empowerment, insight, advice, best practices, all the things if you're interested in that. If you are interested in getting someone to help you get sponsorship for your podcast or event, reach out to me, whenherunited.com/book a call. If you're
Mhm.
interested in sponsoring the Black Podcasting Awards, send me an email at info at whenhersunited.com. Oh, and what did you say? Tell
Listen,
them about, yeah, that's how you can do that. I
that's
think
how
that's
you
it.
can do that. You
I think
better
I answered all the
enunciate.
questions. Listen, you
Listen,
already know
she's a
I be struggling.
podcaster.
I be
She's a
struggling with stuff.
podcaster. She's a professional, is what she is. Yes, ma'am. And she's my friend. She's my friend. So I will let you all know, like I said, I will be the host of the 2023 Black Podcasting Awards. Woo! I'm very excited to be reprising my role. If you all watched the awards last year, which was my first year hosting the awards, then you already know it's going down, down. And if you have not watched, then why? Like, what you waiting on? It's on YouTube. Go on and take a look because it's extremely, extremely well done. And so I am also a podcast producer, a recently award-winning podcast producer. We won 2 Communicator Awards for limited series that I produced in collaboration with The Cube. Shout out to Anna Deshawn over at E3 Radio, called Black HIV in the South. How did we get here? I am extremely proud of this project. If you attended Afros and Audio last year, we talked about that we were working on this project. So you hopefully were anticipating that coming out. But check it out and see what it do. And I also produced the live shows for Stitch Please podcast with Lisa Wolfork, which I freaking love. Lisa is amazing. And so you can follow me on Instagram at Latrice Sampson Richards. Of course, don't forget, if you're watching this on the replay, meaning you wasn't here live, but you here now, live in a full of effect. Okay. We love it as well. Go ahead and comment #replay in the comments, and I will say hey girl hey for at least the next couple days. Okay. And then also make sure you use the hashtag Black Pod Awards 2023 anytime you're talking about the Black Podcasting Awards. You do not have to be nominated, you do not have to apply, you do not have to be on program, as the church folks say, in order to share a praise. Okay. You ain't got to be in the pulpit
Right.
in
That go to
order
my
to
one of
make
my
it
favorite
known.
sayings. What is sharing is caring, right?
Sharing
So
is
share,
caring.
share,
Okay.
share.
You should share it just because you want people to know that this is a thing that is happening and that they need to be involved. So use the hashtag Black Pod Awards 2023 so we can make sure that we see those posts as well and we can say thank you because we genuinely appreciate y'all. That's all we have for y'all this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This was amazing, Nicole.
I had so much fun. Oh, and Demetria said that reveal is coming in June. It's
Yes.
coming
Oh,
in
oh,
June.
the big reveal.
That's what he
Okay, the
said.
big reveal is coming in June, but we're gonna have more of these live streams for y'all. I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things. This was my first live stream in probably about 6 months. It feels good to be back. This is my happy place. She talks. Okay, she talks.
She
Listen, the
talked.
girl, the girl can hold a conversation and she can't do nothing else. I'm a therapist by trade, girl.
We
Talking is kind
know.
of my thing.
Right.
But this has been a really nice return to doing these live streams. I really do love it. I love how active y'all are in the chat. We feed off of that energy. So thank y'all so much. Y'all always do a really good job of making us feel loved. And so we appreciate that. So that's all we have for y'all tonight. Thank you so much for being here with us and sharing this space with us. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all. And until next time, be well. Bye.
Ooh.